I feel like Sid from Toy Story. It came! It finally came! The big one. No, not this. That. Yeah, like I said, when it comes to building your own steam machine, you can't even come close to matching the form factor. This is the shipping box. It's smaller than the overall unit. Anyways, you guys can consider this one the unsponsored steam machine review. I sponsored it with my own grown-up money. So fun fact, from the day that I've been gone in Alaska for a week, I'm back now, so I've been checking my feed. I haven't seen anybody really talking about it since the official reviews, which again, that was all like Valve sponsored. Even though there was probably no money to exchange, or might've been some for, I don't know. I mean, most of, like, we don't accept money for reviews, never have, never will. Nobody I know in the space does that either. However, as much as we try to be impartial and we truly try to put yourself in the mindset of the consumer, there's a relationship between your money when you give it to someone and get a thing, like my recent video with the Vatour glasses. We got an update on that, spoke with the brand. There's actually been some developments with that whole thing. I'm kind of interested to share that with you guys because it could turn out to be a great experience, but we're still in the wait and see process. But I digress. When you swipe your card or hand over cash or whatever, there's a different relationship there versus going, okay, I've received this, I'm gonna put myself in the mindset of the consumer and try to be as impartial and unbiased as possible. And as much as I think we all do a fairly good job at that, it is never going to replace buying something to review, which is why we buy most things we review now these days. Very few things are we ever sent for review, most of it we buy now. So that's what this was. That's why I got this. I got this too because I knew that it was not going to be an amazing product. We've already seen all of the letdown that it is. Valve's already said that the prices are going to go up, which makes it even worse. But I bought it because I want to modify the thing. I just want to screw around with it and see I want to try and water cool it. I really do, which is so unnecessary. Anyway, enough. Let's go and talk about the unboxings. When you open it up, you're met with two things. This is all I really wanted out of the package. I'm still on the wait list for the controller. Too bad I can't sell the Steam machine and get any money back because they have plenty of them. Although we did talk to someone that their team, like all 3 or 4 of them signed up for it and none of them got on the wait list to buy. And all 4 of us did. So actually 5 of us got on there, so whatever. It is a 512, unfortunately. It is upgradable, but the upgrade would be very expensive. So this is the actual Steam machine right here in this box. This is the Steam controller. I've not even opened this yet. This is still sealed. What I want to do right now is just kind of a quick tour of how the packaging works, and then we're going to take you through the actual setup process. I imagine it's going to be very, very simple. A little disclaimer, I have already opened this because I was excited and I wasn't planning on doing this review. But if I'm going to do modifications and see if I can make this thing faster or cooler or whatever, I have to get some baseline. So I figure why not take you along for the ride. Steam controller, you guys have already seen that. I know, I'm gonna be totally honest with you, my wife had to teach me how to do this. Oh, there we go. My wife had to do this for me, I'm not even joking. Okay, it's a cube. Now here's the thing, the form factor, you gotta admit, it's pretty damn cool. Like, that, as much as we tried, you know that. But this is also a physical representation of the improvement in performance too. You get as much more performance in this guy as there is size difference. Actually, no, I think that'd have to be like a full tower because we just destroyed the Steam machine's performance with this at the same money. Okay, so you got a little sleeve here. Whee! Okay, whatever. All connectivity is on the back. It is designed to be like a console. So everything is on the back, except for a couple USB ports on the front. If you wanted to do a wired controller, you could. Micro SD card, which is really weird to me, but there's a micro SD card, LED bar, power button. Then the back for connectivity, we have DisplayPort, HDMI, our dual prong power, Ethernet port, 2 USB 3s and a USB-C. I was like, how does the cooling work in this guy? Because you got this fan right here. It's clearly exhaust. On the bottom is the intake, right? And the intake is on the opposite side as the fan. So the fan's designed to pull air through there, through the components that need cooling, through the heatsink, and then out the back. And I thought, man, that's still really choked off, but there's actually a gap here. So air is pulled in through here as well. I plan on doing a smoke test. I wanna see how much air is pulled through there. This is just held on with a magnet. If you do that, you can see there's a grill here to protect everything. I believe I had seen some tests where people compared with on and off versus just how the cooling is. Apparently it can kind of improve CPU and GPU a little bit, but then it can hurt SSD because there is a channel under here, right there, that the air is designed to come through. There's a gap with like Swiss cheese holes on there, and then right on the other side of those holes is where the SSD is. So that's how the SSD gets its cooling. SSDs, though, believe it or not, are not a component that you want to overcool. They actually perform well at a range of temperature. If they're too cold, it can, apparently, I've never tested this, but if they're too cold, they can actually underperform. Not as bad as if they're too hot, but you need to have some active airflow over them, but it's okay if they're warm. I also think it's interesting, this cover design, because as I want to design a replacement cover, and not just like, I don't want to do 3D printing, everyone's doing 3D printing, I want to mill something fun and exciting, potentially out of aluminum, or maybe even like polished copper could look really cool on here with a design in there. I'm curious as to why they have this like 2-layered with these perforated holes, like why this isn't just a solid piece of plastic, unless it was just cheaper to do this insert here with injection molding versus being a solid piece of plastic. And obviously it has an up arrow, which I think is really strange, considering it appears to be pretty, like, okay, let me point that down and see what happens. Okay, they're not, yeah. So there is an up and a down, so I need to keep that in mind in my design, obviously. Not sure why, but whatever. Maybe because of the gap for the LED ring, it's probably not perfectly spaced between the top and the bottom. But that's pretty much it. Let's open up the controller for the first time. I'm kind of excited for this. I've never even touched and held one, but apparently this is kind of being looked at as like the ultimate controller. And considering I've gone through so many different types here, and Phil's gone through so many different types, everything from regular Xbox controllers to the Elite controllers to the Thrustmasters, the Razors. It's like apparently this is the ultimate controller. And it's cheaper than all the ones we just mentioned. Oh, I can't see it. There it is.
Nice, it's a Steam screenless deck.
The Hall sensors are what we care about most. Steam button, normal AB D-pad. Oh, I turned it on. And then what is this? Is this a wireless dongle? I imagine this will probably tell me everything I need to know right there, but whatever. There's our cable that is not quite a JayzBand, but close. USB-A to USB-C. And then if you needed to, okay, I wanted to see if it was strong enough to hold. Dang, that's really firm. Okay, so if that's just to be like Phil said, let's say you can have this plugged into the back, right? On the desk somewhere. This is just your charging port. Because normally on most consoles, right, unless you buy like a third-party charging station, like a charging dock that you can like put the controller on, this is intended to sort of just be that. So all I did was put it near it, and then it's a pretty strong magnet. So now it would be charging. Okay, now the last thing we gotta look at here, this is just the power cable. Why do they make it so hard to get? Jeez. Okay, so we have an HDMI cable, and I guess our 2-prong power cable here. This is a really thick HDMI cable, holy cow. Now we're gonna be using a monitor for this. Ideally, we should go up to the conference room and use the TV or the TV on the wall above the soldering station. It doesn't matter. The only difference is gonna be whether or not you can turn up and down the volume using this through, what's it called? HDMI?
CEC.
Yeah. If you're connecting this to an HDMI CEC device, like which most TVs are, it can send a signal through the HDMI to the TV to turn volume up and down. Then if you have your TV attached either optical or even through like ARC or something to a surround sound or a sound bar or whatever, then this can control the volume of either your TV or your surround system if you have it enabled that way. Since we're on a monitor that is not CEC, that functionality is not gonna work. Just know that you can do that on a TV. And then also too, that CEC sends more than just volume signal, it also sends the turn on signal and all that. So that's the unboxing experience. Let's go ahead and now see what the first boot experience is like. I'm imagining it's gonna be exactly like our Bazite that just is like, hey, welcome to Steam, and then you gotta log in, right? I'm assuming it's gonna be exactly the same way, but what I'm expecting to be able to do is turn it on from here. All size jokes aside, like I moved the keyboard and mouse completely out of the way. This is literally like no keyboard, no mouse, no nothing. But the setup is exactly as you'd expect with anything that's console. Like you've just simply got your power, and then we are using a umbilical HDMI already that we have in the setup. Boom, that's it. It is now like set up. I'm not gonna use my, you know what, screw it. I will use my wired network. I am one of those guys that's like, if you can go wired, wired not. Why not? Why not? There's a joke there, but it didn't work. It didn't connect. So if I grab this guy, no idea what the charge is like on it. Hopefully it's good enough. Let's now play. I long pressed it, it went doo-doo. I'm not looking at any manuals or anything. I'm doing the typical, like, people that are so excited, like, I just want to use it, blah, blah, blah. Whatever. The irony that we had a podcast called RTFM. There's a reason why we called it that. I probably have to use the power button here for the first time. Yeah, see, now it just chimed and is now showing orange. I don't know if, because the cable's plugged in now, that was a thing. Okay, it's green. I'm assuming that means now it's synced. Okay, let's just unplug that and see. That's not the Bazite logo. Okay, so it is, okay, fine. Fine.
So that is a receiver.
Yeah. So, if you want to use it wired, you have to plug this in. Okay.
Wait, wired? No, it's.
Oh no, you're right. But that's weird that you have to use this thing, in my opinion.
On initial setup.
Oh, is that it? Okay. It keeps turning itself off like really quickly.
Oh, there you go. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's paired to the charger dock.
That's what I'm saying.
Automatically, but it's not paired to the Steam Machine wirelessly if you don't use the charger dock.
That's what I'm saying. Like if I did this now, that's a bummer. That should be built in.
I mean, it is. It's just paired initially to the charger instead of the box.
Okay, so. Oops. At any point, can I use this with this unplugged and no this?
I mean, yeah, once you get into the setup, you would have to just pair the controller to the box, but I don't know why you would do that if that would just be plugged into the back already and just kind of hidden on the desk or on.
Yeah, because you kind of have to have this thing plugged in for charging. Unless you literally have this plugged into like a brick, but I'm gonna move this to the back now just because it's bugging me up there.
Yeah, because it's like, it's kind of pointless to do it without the charger dock because
you need to charge it.
To charge the controller.
Yeah.
And then, so they might as well make the dock a receiver, an extra one.
It's like, they should have made a spot up there where it could be like stuck down magnetized or something, so then it's could be like.
Yeah, it is actually kind of the perfect size for that. Huh?
Yeah. Okay. All right, so it's updating the firmware for the controller. I know that because I read it.
You almost unplugged the plug as it's saying.
But that's a true test. People are gonna do that. It's magnetic. Maybe they kicked it accidentally. What's gonna happen? I would hope it would automatically revert or do one of those like it has to fully apply the firmware update, confirm the update, and then overwrite the EEPROM and not do it as the process is moving. Like these are the types of tests that like you have to run, Phil. You just need the lowest common denominator idiot like me to test it. It's real testing. It's not fake testing. Okay, Steam Control update required. Please plug it in via the USB. I read it. Look, I haven't had my coffee and it's got back from Alaska. We didn't have tech up there. Before you get in-game, here are a couple important things about your controller. If you have any other Steam controllers or pucks, plug the puck into your PC and turn your controllers on for important update, okay? What? I didn't push next. I didn't even read the second one. Okay, so we have an exclamation point. What's that all about? Software updates, sure. Always worthwhile to just apply any of that crap because there could be some hot fixes for things. So before we complain, if you complain and you're not updated, your complaints are completely invalid. I feel like it's incredibly unlikely that there's a lot of people that bought this to get into PC gaming but are coming from console and are looking at this as like a bridge. But if you are one of those people and you want to know whether or not the game would have controller support and or really be controller appropriate, look for this icon right here. So that shows controller checkmark on Cyberpunk, controller checkmark on Resident Evil, Windrose controller checkmark, Wukong, that's the benchmarking tool. It says keyboard and mouse and then unknown, right? Question mark. Avatar half controller. So if you want to know why it's showing half controller, push A on the title, and then you can go right over here to game info, and then see details here for compatible on SteamOS compatibility. And it says right here, this game runs successfully in SteamOS. This game requires manually enabling controller support using in-game settings. Single player gameplay requires an active internet connection. So it's the enabling of the controller in the game that you might need a keyboard and mouse for to be able to like navigate necessarily. So it could be different per title, but it is saying by default, you have to enable controller in there. It's not gonna automatically enable the controller. So it could be and we do have this title, but we're not gonna go through the time to install that title right now. It's just, that's an example of what the half controller means. It does have controller support, but you have to enable it. Looking for anything else here that just says like, no, yes. You only have controller support for F1. It's kind of the opposite. All right, so you get the idea. We're just gonna do the same 2 titles we did with our other Steam Machine box competitor thing we made. This was Cyberpunk and Resident Evil 4. Now the install process, so accept. Okay, so let's see right here. Yeah, CPU is currently at 70C, 71C at 70%, 94%. GPU is not really doing anything. It's currently at 46C. And then we can see all of our cores right there and what they're doing. VRAM. So while it's installing, we'll do a smoke test here. Remember, it only gets its air from the bottom, which has a very small gap, probably only about 3 millimeters or so. So you can see if I go right here. So you see it exhausting out the back, obviously. Not a lot, actually. It still seems to prefer the bottom. Now we should see pretty much nothing coming in from the bottom, I would assume. Yeah, kind of like I thought. What's funny is it's pulling in some from the back, which didn't make a whole lot of sense. But now, right here in the very front.
It's like it got happy.
I know. So obviously it's just pulling a lot of air through there, through the front. Yeah, so that's why, I get it, you're done. So that's why in testing it showed, not our testing, but we've seen people's tests where, it's actually fairly warm coming out of the back right there though, where taking this off affects the SSD temps and potentially RAM temps, again, because it's now bypassing the bottom, which it needs to go through the components. I mean, the PCB's down here. So if it's just pulling through the heatsink, then it does well for GPU, CPU, because those are in direct contact with the heatsink. But the RAM, remember, those are just SODIMM. They are not like soldered into that cooler or anything like that. They're just resting there, so they require airflow over them. Well, because there's only one stick. So that's why leaving the front on is important. This just makes sure it doesn't get totally choked off, but now we'll see the bottom intake working again. And even though the fan's only at 600, where's the fan? 583 RPM, it's still doing a pretty good job. So real quick before we get into games, since they're installed now, customization, you can change the way this front light works too. Like you can turn it off, you can turn it on, you can change the effects so there's solid, there's rainbow. You know, if you're coming from console to PC, you gotta embrace the puke, right? You can change the speed. All right, there's brightness during startup. We gotta go full bright. So there's breathe. This looks so stupid, I'm fast. You can change the color. You don't wanna see that probably. You really wanna freak your friend out. Actually, just do this.
It's solid red, yeah. Be like, oh no, dude, it's broken.
What is patrol? Oh, geez. Wait, it's a little too fast. And you can also change the startup movie if you want. You can shuffle the movie. This is the default right here. You can find, like, so if you have Steam points, like if you're new to console or new to Steam, as you buy things, you gain Steam points. And they're usually like 10% of whatever the value is what you get in points, kind of a thing. Or it's the other way around. Can't remember. Anyway, I have hundreds of thousands of points because I didn't know they existed, and I've been on Steam for 23 years. So, why is she crushing it? What? What did you see that? Look, thighs versus watermelon. Okay, sure. All right, we're gonna do the car one. Okay, so it should turn on with just the Steam button. There it goes.
Yay!
Yay! It did what it's supposed to do.
One thing that PC nerds can't.
Without buying a customized Bluetooth controller. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's a Bluetooth dongle that basically has a 2-wire plug-in that wires off into your power on, front panel connector pins. And so it makes it, I wasn't expecting sound. So it makes it so that your controller, Bluetooth, let's say this was plugged into the power buttons, right? So then this just enables the push to turn on front panel button from your controller. That's all it is. Anyway, okay, so we'll start with RE4. So right now it's by default only gonna go as high as 1080p. To be honest, that's where you should really just leave the Steam Machine. Okay, let your TV upscale it if you're on a TV. But we need to now enable to go higher than that because I do wanna at least compare to what we had before. So we gotta go to Gear, Properties, and then, whoops, there's right there, maximum game resolution set to 1080. We're just gonna go 4K, that way we unlock the ability to test those, which is not gonna, it's not gonna be good at all. Anyway, so you gotta do that. Then once you go to play, now you've unlocked full resolution capabilities. Okay, so on the machine I built with these exact settings, which is 1080p, balanced preset, no FSR, we were getting 144 FPS. We are at 97, 96, 108, 107. So if I face out, obviously farther distance, it drops down a little bit. Yeah, see, it got some jitter in it, like that's some stutters as you're turning. You can see them right there. So I'm gonna try 4K right now, or 1440p just for the heck of it. Not that I think you should. Now we're down to 80, 78, 79, so it's right here where we're looking. 79, 81. Okay, so now we'll go with 4K in here just for the heck of it. 44 FPS in this confined space. Ooh, so cinematic. Still kind of impressive though that it can even do it, to be honest. Let's now try Cyberpunk. Okay, so matching our first test, we did Steam Deck preset 1080p. Okay, so we are at, where is it? 113. So it's 107. I would expect this to be a good experience because it is the Steam Deck preset and this is more powerful than a Steam Deck. Okay, so now we're gonna do 1080p. Okay, here we go. RT low, which we're still using FSR 2.1. So many people were like, why aren't you using FSR, well now 4 shows up right there. I mean, FSR 4 would be nice. That didn't show up for us on the other. Okay, so let's talk about FSR real quick. On our original video with the Steam Machine competitor we built, we didn't have FSR 4 in there yet. We had 2.1 and FSR 3, and then we were like, FSR 3 looks terrible, but then they came out with FSR 4 patch after that video. So a lot of you guys were like, why didn't you do the 4? I thought it did 4 now. A lot of you have to remember, you're watching the video when the video goes live, not when we filmed it. So obviously there's gaps in video release time, so sometimes things like that happen. So now this particular Steam Machine, and so will the other one with Bazite, should theoretically have an update eventually. I don't know, potentially. This was directly an update specifically for the Steam Machine and the title. Anyway, now FSR 4 shows here. So we're gonna do 2.1 to compare to what we did, leaving it at the RT low, right? So this is where we were. These are the defaults it does right here. And then we'll check 4 just to see how it does for us. So now we're all the way down to 59 FPS. Our build was ranging between 90 to 110 FPS. So once you hit this custom RDNA 3 GPU that's in here, it really starts to show its age a little bit. So FSR 4 looks a lot better. Our FPS has dropped to 62, but because of the fidelity improvements, we might be able to now reduce. So right now it's on auto. Who knows what it pre-chose? So let's just try performance, see how that looks. So now we're getting roughly the same FPS, like 2 more maybe. We're at 77. Hold your horses! Doing a video! But now it looks a million times better. Oh, sorry, I was looking at the thing. So this looks better in performance mode than lower FSRs did in quality mode. Even ultra performance doesn't look bad. I mean, it's not great. You see some noise and some fuzziness around the window frames and stuff, but dude, compared to what it looked like before, and now we're at almost 90 FPS, we're in the 80s. There is still obviously a bit of a quality hit. I mean, who knows where our base resolution is at the moment. But let's just see now what 4K looks like with Ultra, because we can fix that base resolution by going up to 4K. 33 FPS. Oh, that's so gross. This is very cinematic. Yeah, nailing it. We're nailing the takeover. These gears are so tall. I think y'all get the idea. I want to check something right now while it's under load though. Let's do the smoke again. It's just so quiet, like you can't hear the damn thing. It really does pick up from the bottom more than those gaps. But look, right now the fan's turned up, so it's picking up from everywhere. Cool. And then that would be non-ideal, but I mean, obviously the CPU and GPU would appreciate that. Anyway, all right, well there you go. I mean, take it for what you will. That is the Steam Machine. That was not sponsored. But I had a really important question for this.
Dude.
I don't know though. I mean, nothing says I couldn't, right?
It looked like an actual Steam machine. Yeah, what if you went steampunk with the Steam Machine water cooled?
But this is one of those like, if it were only 5 millimeters bigger in every direction kind of a deal, right? I mean, because a 120 mil is about all I'd be able to fit in here. Like I want to do it just to see if I can without breaking anything along the way. It's totally unnecessary because I want to feel like that heatsink probably has more thermal capacity than this radiator does. But it's almost like a can I do it kind of a thing. And if I can remove this mesh without damaging it, and then whatever cover I make has pass-through ports, I could, you know, mount it on top or something, add a fan here. You know, the craziest part is going to be figuring out power distribution for it, because this power supply in here only has so much capability, and I have to power a fan, at least a fan, and then the pump.
It might not even have any extra plugs for you to use because it's a bespoke power supply, right?
That's true, which means I would potentially have to see if I have access to the wire on this fan, right? And then I would have to remove that fan. Yeah, so that's a project I kind of want to do. If you guys want to see it, please sound off below. It's a just because I'm bored and want to type of project, not a necessary project. But if I were to make like a hamburger of radiator, so it's like radiator, fan, radiator, I'd have to make clips to hold it all together because I wouldn't be able to get the screws through. It would be quite interesting to see actually really long screws I could pass all the way through the rad because they line up with fins, not with rows. So I could like drill out one side so that the screw could, like an all thread could go all the way through and then just thread into that backside and sandwich it together. But yeah, I am curious now if I could sandwich rad in there. Like I was like, do I have enough height to do like rad, fan, rad? But then I'd have to have an opening on the top, and I don't really want to customize the case. But I don't know. We'll see. I think you guys need to help me with some ideas here, but I was curious if a 120 millimeter radiator would fit. Technically, no, the end tanks make it a little too big, but nothing says a little ingenuity and milling and 3D printing couldn't help with. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I got it, I bought it, now I gotta do something with it. All right, we'll see you in the next one.